Within the past week, we've seen a major conflict break out in the Middle East, and while there's a lot of uncertainty as to how far this thing is going to spread, we do know for sure that there are going to be some definite economic consequences. We've already seen a significant jump in gas prices, but there's a very good chance that other stuff is going to get more expensive too. So today we're going to talk about things that every prepper should buy before April 1st, 2026. Right now, we have two main situations that could cause prices on various things to go up over the short term. First up, when it comes to the war in the Middle East, the main factor there is going to be the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is a very thin, narrow strip of water that runs right between Saudi Arabia and Iran has basically said that they're going to open fire on anything that tries to go through it. That's where around 20% of seaborne global oil trade goes through, so that's going to jack up the price of oil everywhere since it's a commodity, and it's also going to probably increase the prices of anything that requires oil anywhere in its manufacturing process and also for shipping. Then after that, we have a new 10% import surcharge, which is going to last for around 150 days starting from February 24th. And so that just basically means that when imports need to be restocked, they're going to be subject to that and prices are going to go up. But as far as the actual items that we should be buying this month, first off, we have fuel, starting with gasoline. And I know that's pretty obvious, but the situation, the longer it goes on, there's just going to be more volatility with the price of gasoline, crude oil, all that kind of stuff. And there could even potentially be regional shortages in some places. I know that here in the US, most of our imported oil actually comes from Canada and Mexico. Only around, I think, like 8 to 10% comes from like Iraq and Saudi Arabia and places like that. But since it's a commodity, then the prices for it are going to go up pretty much across the board. So go ahead, keep your fuel tank at least halfway full, and fill up any gas cans that you have just in case these price increases get worse than they already are. Then after that, we have propane, and of course you can get this either in like cylinder refills, you can get those little 1 pound bottles, which are already way more expensive than they should be. But the reason why this is important is that propane, it tracks the price of things like crude oil and natural gas. So if those go up, then the cost of propane can go up too. So if you need to get any of your cylinders refilled, then go ahead and do that. Then kind of related to that, we have butane and isobutane canisters, and these have a few different things working against them. First off, they're imported. Then the fuel itself is a byproduct of things like natural gas processing, crude oil refining, then you have the metallic packaging that it's made of. So there's just a lot of different factors that could cause that to go up in price. And of course, those are really good to have for different things, like your little butane stove for relatively safe indoor cooking. And then also things like jet boils and other like pocket rockets that you would keep in your bug out bag. And then finally, there's oil itself. So if you're kind of on the bubble right now, needing to get the oil changed in your car, or you're wanting to do like lawnmower or generator maintenance for the beginning of the spring, then go ahead and get those taken care of. Then after that, you have different kinds of plastic containers. Those can include 5-gallon buckets that you'd use for food storage. Also, plastic water containers like aquatainers, military water cans, and then also just plastic totes that you'd use to organize different kinds of gear. And the reason why these could go up in price is pretty much the same as trash bags. In order to make those containers, you have to use petroleum-based resin pellets that are melted down and then put into molds. And since oil is getting more expensive, then that means that really the base component for making those things is getting more expensive. And then also on top of that, those tend to be pretty bulky. There's a lot of dead airspace with them. And so freight prices for them are already pretty high, and things with that are only going to get worse. And then after that, also smaller plastic-based items, specifically things like water filters. Like if you look at things like Sawyer filters, Grail water purifier bottles, and even their replacement filters, there's a lot of plastic components there, and we can reasonably expect prices on those to go up as well. Then after that, we have tarps and plastic sheeting. Of course, those are made very similarly to how trash bags are. And those are useful to have, for things like storm damage. But when it comes to plastic sheeting, it's also very useful in the event of things like chemical incidents, also radiological incidents of different types. So if you're downwind of something that happens and you need to seal up your home, then those are good to have. And then related to that is different kinds of tape, things like duct tape for repairing gear, and then also wide painter's tape for hanging up that plastic sheeting. Next up, we have a couple of different medical items, starting with nitrile gloves, and these have a couple of different things working against them. First off, the vast majority of them are imported, so they're going to be subject to that new import surcharge as soon as they need to get restocked. And then after that, they're heavily dependent on chemical supply chains, and those are being disrupted right now. And also, anytime that there's any sort of supply chain hiccup, these do tend to spike in price. It's pretty predictable. I don't know if y'all remember back during 2020 when Rona was kicking off. First off, they were impossible to find. Given that was an extreme situation, we're probably not going to find ourselves in quite that bad of a way this time. But once they did come back in stock, they were several dollars a box more expensive than what they used to be. And while I don't know if we're going to have that same sort of price increase now as we did back then, if you need any, then you might want to go ahead and pick up a box or two. Then after that, we have various kinds of over-the-counter medications. That can include pain relievers and fever reducers, stomach medications, antacids, allergy medications, pretty much the works. And the reason for that is, kind of like with nitrile gloves, the vast majority of them are imported. And even if there are maybe some tariff exemptions on certain medications, if there's any hiccup in the supply chain, then there could be at least temporary shortages in different places, and that's not something that you want to mess with. If you have somebody in your family that's sick, you want to be able to get them what they need as quickly as possible. So it's always a good idea just to go ahead, take a look in your medicine cabinet, and be sure that you're well stocked up on anything that you and your loved ones might need. Then after that, we have different kinds of batteries. That can include simple rechargeable nickel metal hydride like AA's, AAA's, and D cells, larger systems like solar power stations, and then also car batteries. And the thing that's important to remember about these is that even though you have them, they might not last forever. Now, your nickel metal hydride batteries, they last a good while. Then your solar generators, like your lithium ion batteries and stuff like that, they won't give out totally, but they will start to degrade over time. But one thing that's very important to keep an eye on during situations like this is your car battery. If you're noticing that your car isn't starting up as quickly as it used to, it's kind of starting to struggle a little bit more, you might want to go ahead and get that battery replaced, because it's probably only a matter of time until you're going to have to do that anyway. Then after that is different kinds of electronics, like batteries. The vast majority of these are imported, and then there's also component costs to consider. Like right here, if you look at this little GMRS radio, it has a plastic body. So pretty much anything that uses plastic in order to make it is probably going to go up in price because of that. I mean, it might not be, a doubling in price or anything like that, but prices on these types of, little devices and stuff like that could start to inch up, and that's not even taking into account the increased cost of freight. Next up, we have a few different home repair and storm readiness items, starting with extension cords. The copper that those rely on are going to be subject to different tariffs and import costs. Then after that, we have different kinds of fasteners, stuff like nails, screws, pretty much anything that you need to make repairs or build makeshift structures during or after a disaster. Those are subject to different tariffs, and also they can go out of stock pretty quick. Like if a storm hits a certain area, they tend to get scooped up pretty fast. So something that you want to have at least some of ahead of time. Then after that is building materials like plywood and OSB. Of course, that's useful for covering up windows, also patching roofs, stuff like that. And the main reasons why prices on those could go up is, first off, freight. I mean, it's big, it's heavy, it costs a lot to get from one place to another, and with everything going on with oil, that's only going to get worse. And then also there's other stuff going on in the lumber industry that's caused prices on various things to go up over the past year or so. And kind of like with fasteners, these sell out quickly if people think or know that they're going to use them. So if, say, you live in a storm-prone area, like along the coast, go ahead, get your plywood now, cut it to the size that you need, and then, just stick it next to your house in a storage shed so that A, you already have it, and then B, it's going to be quick to hang up so you can get out of Dodge a little bit quicker. Next up, we have a couple of food related items, starting with fertilizer. And the reason why fertilizer is a little bit volatile is that its price is heavily linked to the price of natural gas. Natural gas is used a lot, especially to make things like nitrogen based fertilizer. So when the price of it goes up, then so does the cost of fertilizer. And then there's also the whole global trade aspect of it. A significant portion of global fertilizer supplies come from places like Saudi Arabia and Qatar, which are right in the middle of this ongoing situation with Iran. So that's going to make the fertilizer that you buy, like at Walmart or Lowe's, more expensive. And then also, it's going to affect the price of crops produced by large scale agriculture that use those nitrogen fertilizers. So, that kind of brings us to our next one, which is just basic food staples, things like dry beans, rice, all of those different kinds of things. If you don't have at least like a 30 or 60-day buffer supply of those, then you might want to go ahead and get that taken care of. And while those basic foods tend to get a lot of attention when it comes to prepper food storage, there are plenty of other foods out there that have very long shelf lives too. So if you want to see a list of prepper stockpile foods that last pretty much forever, then click here. Or if you want to see a list of 13 alternative defensive tools when pew-pews aren't an option, then click here. Thank y'all for stopping by. Y'all have a good one.